Yo, what it do? It's your boy Will. I'm your host today. Welcome to Phantom Frequency. If this is your first time joining us, we get into all different various types of pop culture, comic book movies, wrestling, anime, different genres of music, video games, whatever it is, whatever the hot topics are, whatever we feel like talking about, we discuss it here on the channel. Older movies, old TV shows, new TV shows. We do it all around here. So click the buttons below the video if you dig the vibe, if you love what we do. Appreciate all you new subscribers and all you new commenters coming in, engaging with the videos. Been a lot of fun discussing these various topics with y'all, whether it was a video from over a year or two ago, two videos I just posted the other day. Doesn't matter. Just appreciate all the support, guys. But we're going to continue, and we're about to wrap up this X-Men review series. It's been a lot of fun, but we're getting into the second to last installment that we're doing of the entire run. It's Deadpool 2. We're leading up to the release of Deadpool and Wolverine. That's the whole reason why we started this. The culmination of the Fox X-Men saga, if you will, that whole era from 2000 to 2000 and now 24. And we had a little bit of a hiatus right there in 2019 after Dark Phoenix and the release of Deadpool 2 in 2018 when we went on that little hiatus. But we're back. We're getting back into it. We've been doing this since earlier this year, and it's been a lot of fun discussing all these X-Men installments. But now we're about to get into something that's a little bit more of the mid-tier, I would say. The follow-up to the OG Deadpool, Deadpool 2, that released in the summer of 2018. And let me say this, man. I do enjoy the hell out of this film quite a bit. But I got to be real with y'all. I do feel like it doesn't quite live up to some of the hype that we had at the time. But I do enjoy the movie now in retrospect than I kind of did at the time. Not that I didn't like the movie upon release, but I was a little bit disappointed by it and did think that it was a little bit more sloppy, not as well written, and not as much of a tight script. And while it had even bigger action, even cooler kind of X-Men Easter eggs and payoffs and cameos between Juggernaut, Domino, Cable, of course, all these different really obscure characters like Shatterstar and Zeitgeist and all this different stuff going on, the whole X-Force joke. There's a lot of fun stuff to be had. There's a lot of fun moments and really hilarious jokes and bits going on in this film. Badass action, especially from Deadpool, Domino, and Cable, respectfully. But overall, it's definitely a script where you could feel there not being that tightness to it, not being that emotional through line that works as seamlessly and as grounded, but at the same time getting that heightened zany nature to it. This definitely feels a little bit more comic booky and a little more blockbuster spectacle than I think the previous Deadpool film does. While the spectacle and the blockbuster action elements are there, it feels a little more gritty in the first film. It feels a little more grounded in the first film. The love story between him and Vanessa, played by the great what's her name, Monica Baccarin. But you don't get a lot of their chemistry here because she gets killed off within the first 15-20 minutes in the movie and gets shelved in a sense for the rest of the time as a plot device, essentially, to have Deadpool have another motivation to essentially want to die in this thing, a la Wolverine-esque, Logan-esque, right? And maybe they were doing a whole commentary on that since this was post-Logan, since he even literally says in the beginning of the movie, fuck Wolverine, you know what I'm saying? So I get the joke maybe that they're trying to go for there. I get some of the nature there because Deadpool is also a very tragic character, as he is hilarious in a certain sense as well, going through all these crazy fucked up things that he's going through and the way that he's scarred and the way that and the reason why he wanted to get this whole operation done in the first place has always there's always a tragic backdrop to the character of Deadpool, but it doesn't play the same way with the same gravitas as someone like Wolverine. So I think a lot of that gravitas was missing here that actually was kind of coming through a little bit better in the original film. The villain in this one kind of being the people that kind of had control of Fire Fist or whatever his Russell, as his government name is, and the whole thing with that didn't really play as well as a villain either, where Ajax fucking over Wade Wilson and inevitably triggering his mutation, which inadvertently saves his life, but also kind of fucks up his life forever and gives him a bunch of trauma in the process of having to do that or get to that point in order to survive from the cancer he was diagnosed with. That gives you a much more relatable and emotional storyline to go through with your villain, no matter how one-dimensional or stereotypical your villain is. And that's the difference here, where I feel like I get he's trying to save the kid and prevent something from the future from happening, and there's these perverts that are fucking the kid over. I understand that. But it doesn't necessarily play as clean. It doesn't play as universally as it did in the first film. This one just feels a little more darker and a little more mean-spirited than anything else when it comes to that whole more emotional side of the story. The zaniness, the fourth wall breaks, the action, the comic book references, the entire just over the top, insane, envelope pushing that they're doing throughout this whole entire film. Ryan Reynolds is in top form as Deadpool here. Like, there's a lot of really great stuff here. Also, Zazie Beetz as Domino and Josh Brolin as Cable, I thought completely nailed their characters and were awesome in the film. Had great memorable moments between the fight they had with each other on the convoy, and then the whole scene of her having an argument with Deadpool when she's auditioning for the X-Force, or and vice versa when Cable's having that fight with Deadpool in the prison. They have so many funny back and forths, like, what the is dubstep still a thing? And he's all like, no, or whatever, and he's all like, oh man, you just can't escape that dubstep, and all the back and forth that they have and the badass action at the same time just totally plays well together, and their dynamic together in the scenes that they do share in the film. While I wish there was more and a little more of a through line in that regard, with Deadpool and Cable being kind of a big to do in the comics as a duo, I do feel like they kind of undercut some of that here, where Deadpool's moments with Domino and everything really felt just right, and I thought they really popped off screen together when they were sharing scenes, and it really made her feel a lot more kind of like becoming someone that's an ally to Deadpool in a little more of an organic way than Deadpool did with Cable in this, at least in my personal opinion. But they both nailed their roles and were both fun characters, and I really hope we see them in Deadpool and Wolverine. I like these characters a lot. I really love them. I just wanted more Cable, but I loved everything with Domino and thought we got a perfect amount. So it's more like I just want more Cable so I can get more of what I like. So it's not something that I dislike. I just want more of what it is. You know what I'm saying? And then when it comes to the character of Russell, a.k.a. Firefist, I thought the actor, I always forget his name, but I thought he did a great job with the performance. He was really good. He was really funny for the most part when he needed to be. Felt very believable as this angry kid with these powers. He's a really good actor, too, so I do really dig his performance and liked what he was doing there. I just thought that him kind of being framed as the antagonist to be someone that's the catalyst for the hero to find motivation, all this stuff, I don't know. It just didn't feel as compelling or as interesting. I get what they were going for, and what they were going for still had some emotional depth to it somewhat and had some merit. Didn't quite come together for me in that regard. So, like the character, but once again, don't really feel the emotion or the nuance behind it as well. You get all the returning characters like Weasel and Dopinder and things like that, new characters like Peter. All those characters are fun and whatnot. They're not getting any emotional depth or any crazy storylines or character development. They're not really supposed to in these films, so I'm not really tripping that Big Al doesn't got a big arc, in this thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool. I understand their place in the film. They're just supporting characters, so that was fine. You know what I mean? And like I said, the X-Force sequence is hilarious with Terry Crews and Bill Skarsgård and Louis Tan as Shatterstar for Louis Tan and Zeitgeist for my man Bill Skarsgård and Terry Crews. I can't remember the character he plays, but I'll throw it on the screen here. Maybe I'll find an image of the character from the comics or something. But y'all know the deal, editing magic. But, we got to throw all the references out to all these characters. And then you got Vanisher with a real quick cameo by Brad Pitt. So that was pretty funny, too. But yeah, so there's a lot of fun to be had with Deadpool 2. I really, really dig it. The action scenes, like I said before, bad fucking ass. The whole convoy sequence with Domino and that showing the luck and the whole Deadpool voiceover and the X-Force getting killed and all that culminating to Deadpool versus Cable, and that whole sequence is fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. Like, please don't get me wrong there. The opening sequence with Deadpool being a contract killer, essentially being that merc with the mouth all over the globe, super fun and hilarious to 9 to 5 from Dolly Parton. Really dug that. Him popping out of the goddamn casket in Sicily and all this shit and fighting the dudes in the Tokyo saunas and all that. Like, it was super fun. I really, really dug it. And it's a fun sequel, but I think Tim Miller was a little bit of a little bit more of a better suited director to kind of bring everything in together, where David Leitch added a lot more spectacle and fun and kind of more of this cool cinematography and style to it, but was missing a little bit of that heart and that emotional through line. So hopefully Deadpool and Wolverine can kind of up the ante in that regard and balance everything in a zany, fun way that we want from Deadpool, but keep things grounded where they need to and keep things streamlined enough. But we'll see what ultimately happens with that. But that's pretty much it for the Deadpool reviews. I mean, for the X-Men review series. Well, Deadpool review series too. But that's the end of these X-Men reviews until we do our spoiler-free and spoiler discussions of Deadpool and Wolverine this weekend leading into the following Monday and all that. So make sure you stay tuned and don't be sleeping on any of that. But that's it for the X-Men review series as it is. And we're going to have a big tier ranking, including Deadpool and Wolverine, coming out next weekend. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. We're going to have a lot of fun discussing all the films, including the 13th installment I didn't get a full review for, but I might do a short reaction to, is the New Mutants, because I do want to include that in the conversation, and I've never seen it, so I do want to have that in there and come at it with a fresh mind. It's been 4 or 5 years, or 3 to 4 years, whatever, so I'll see how I feel about it, but that's going to be in the discussion too, so I won't be sleeping on that one. Don't you be sleeping on this one. Deadpool 2 review. Like I said, it's a good sequel, but not a great sequel. So hoping that Deadpool and Wolverine can up the ante a little bit, and I feel like it's going to. But let me know what you think about this one down in the comments below. Always love discussing this stuff with you guys. Please check out all the other cool content we have on here. Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Scream, horror, all kinds of goodness. We got all different types of topics here on the channel. We got some music topics as well. So make sure you stay tuned, don't sleep, and we're going to catch you on that X-Men tier ranking and the Deadpool and Wolverine reviews, baby. So until then, X-Force, peace out.